Earlier today, Speaker Mike Johnson at his press conference was pissed. And he's a nice guy, pretty easygoing, real stable personality. I haven't seen him this pissed. Why is he pissed? Because people who are putting their lives on the line for this country and enforcing the laws that Congress has passed are going without pay right now. And it's all because of politics. Let's start with Mike Johnson, and then you're going to see AOC and Bernie Sanders throw Chuck Schumer under the bus and then drive right over his spine with that bus. You'll see it. He's done. Schumer is done. It's glorious. I'll show you that in a minute. Here's Mike Johnson.
Together and build that consensus is not possible until we get the government operating again and we stop holding. I get very upset about this. We stop holding the American people hostage for these ridiculous political games. People see what's going on here. We should not have Border Patrol agents not paid right now because Chuck Schumer wants to pay political games to cover his tail. I don't know how much more simply to say that, and every single one of you know that's exactly what's going on. I don't like being Mad Mike. I want to be happy Mike. I want to be the happy warrior, but I am so upset about this. God bless America. We're done. Thanks.
There it is. That's the extent of Mad Mike. He even threw a profanity in there. God bless America. He's such a Boy Scout, and I love that about him because it's genuine. It's not an act. But yeah, he's pissed. He has every right to be pissed. Chuck Schumer is trying to save his political ass by accommodating the AOC, Bernie Sanders, Zohran Mamdani wing of the party by stretching out this government shutdown, pretending like he's fighting for health insurance subsidies, which is really all they amount to. But all he wants to do is show, yes, I can fight. Okay, fight over what? And at whose expense? The whole thing is to build up to this No Kings protest, which is really a no paychecks protest in Washington, D.C. this weekend, where they're going to, raise money and capture a bunch of mailing lists, email addresses, so they can go out and raise more money for a bunch of Soros groups. And you're suffering for it. The national parks are shut down because of it. And if it weren't for Trump's brilliant strategies, the troops would not get paid, all because Chuck Schumer is trying to save his ass. And here's the biggest irony of all of it. It's not going to work. Chuck Schumer is toast. He's history. Just watch last night's town hall on CNN. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, moderated by Caitlin Collins. So it was fair and balanced. Watch AOC in action.
But are you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
I mean,
all right.
No.
Let me jump in on this one. This is
what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is what we're talking about.
You have a country that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis, massive income and wealth inequality, a corrupt campaign finance system, and the media says, "Oh, you're going to run? What are you going to run for?" Nobody cares. So run more towards
nobody cares. It's the House Speaker and President Trump and the Vice President saying it.
All right.
Pardon?
Well, of course, they're saying it to deflect attention away from the real issue.
Exactly.
And here, let me tell you what the real issue is. Let's see if CNN talks about it. We're living in the richest country in the history of the world, right? All right, you tell me why we're the only nation not to guarantee health care to all people, the only nation not to guarantee paid family and medical leave, why we have a $7.25 an hour minimum wage, why we have 800,000 people sleeping out on the street, why we have a president who denies the reality of climate change, why we have oligarchs on top who have more and more power every day. Let's talk about that issue, not her own political future.
Okay, so a couple of things here. First of all, it always amazes me that people like Bernie Sanders who think that they can just spit across the stage and slobber their Marxist claptrap there at a higher decibel than everybody else somehow is winning the argument because they look like, insane people mimicking Fidel Castro and Mao Zedong, number one. Number two, it always amazes me that the Marxists in American society don't put two and two together here when they make the argument you just heard. Someone explain to me how we can be the richest country in the history of mankind and we don't guarantee health care for everyone in this country. Maybe we're the richest country in the history of mankind because we don't guarantee health care and health insurance and put the government in charge of health insurance and tax every American and business over 50-60% of their wealth to accommodate that government boondoggle. Maybe that's the reason we're so wealthy. Maybe if you look at the economic trajectory of other countries that have the same kind of natural resources that we do, the same kind of culture that we have, many of the same freedoms that we have, and the same Western civilization perspective that we have. I'm speaking specifically of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, and Canada. These are countries who are the most like us culturally, racially, ethically, religiously, and we have the same grounding. With Canada, we have almost the exact same natural resources, and yet our economy explodes and theirs doesn't. Maybe the reason our economy explodes is because we don't allow the government to confiscate over half of the wealth under the guise of national health insurance for every American. They can't put two and down. We're so wealthy and yet we don't provide health insurance. I look at the same equation and I say, we're so wealthy because we don't provide national health care, because we don't burden everyone with crippling taxation and hand over such a vital part of our economy, as well as a vital part of the basic necessities of life, to a dysfunctional bureaucratic government. Because, you know, a big bureaucracy run by a communist fixes everything, said nobody ever, unless they were Lenin, Stalin, Castro, or Mao Zedong. That said, the most important part of this clip was at the very beginning, because the question is, will Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez primary Chuck Schumer in the upcoming election to be senator from New York? And the answer was scream, yell, mock, and attack the reporters because, you know, CNN is so right-wing and so conservative.
But are you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
All right.
No.
Let me jump in on this one. This is what we're
talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is what we're
You have a
talking
country
about.
that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis.
Okay, and you already saw the rest of it. So here's what the answer wasn't. No, Chuck Schumer's doing a great job. Why would we primary him? He's our leader. Everything's fantastic. Next question. That wasn't the answer. Schumer's toast. Absolute toast. The only thing that might save him from an AOC primary is that she's probably going to run for president instead. But if AOC doesn't primary him, somebody else will. And they will primary in New York from the left, from the socialist wing. That's the growing power in New York right now. Look at AOC, look at Zohran Mamdani, look at Hakeem Jeffries, look at whoever else you see right now in New York politics. He's done. They have no confidence in him. And it got even better as the evening went on. Let's plow through some of the highlights and lowlights of Commie Bernie and his hot little Latinx protege, AOC.
What does that need to look like before you would vote to reopen the government? Or is it commitment from the White House and Republicans enough?
No doubt.
I mean,
Mr. President, is a very honest man. And if he says something, man, you could take it to the bank.
So you're saying his word is not enough?
Bankruptcy court.
His word? No.
So what do you need to see? What commitments from?
I think we need to see ink on paper. I think we need to see legislation. I think we need to see votes. And I think we need to see these things pass on the floor of the House and the Senate and signed by President Trump. I don't accept IOUs. I don't accept pinky promises. That's not the business that I'm in.
Okay, so you need a signature from President Trump
Absolutely.
in order to vote to reopen the government.
Correct.
Okay, so let me explain the dynamic that you just had here. AOC is in charge. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now. AOC is in charge. AOC is putting out the demands. AOC is explaining what she needs to see before she agrees to open the government again. You realize, of course, that the House of Representatives has literally no say in what's going on here. The House has already passed a continuing resolution. The Democrats are in the minority. They can't stop anything on the floor of the House. But AOC is dictating the demands. And by the way, what she's demanding right there is not anything that Chuck Schumer has said, that Chuck Schumer has demanded. So who's really running things? Did you see the smile on Bernie Sanders' face when AOC started to lay out what her demands are? AOC's demands are? Yeah, she's in charge. By the way, just for confirmation, if you got tired of the commies on CNN, if you just flipped over a couple of channels to News Nation, they were having their own town hall last night, live from the Kennedy Center. We've got a lot of clips from that coming up, but I just want to show you one really brief one. It's telling. Jim Jordan, Republican, and Ro Khanna, Democrat, both from the House of Representatives. Ro Khanna was asked about how Chuck Schumer's doing here. Ro Khanna, he's not a socialist. He's not a communist. He's a left-wing liberal Democrat, but he's, one of the reasonable ones. Here's what Ro Khanna thinks of Chuck Schumer.
But you know why no one believes this Chuck Schumer thing? The country thinks he's too ineffective. But
there you go. That's a ringing endorsement from the people in the House that are supposed to have your back. All right, back over to the communists.
I ask you on this to follow up, because you said that it is federal law that people, undocumented immigrants, can't get Medicare, Medicaid, the Obamacare subsidies. Do you believe that should be the law, though, or do you think undocumented immigrants should have access to federally funded health care?
I believe personally that health care is a human right. I believe that every person should be able to go to the doctor, but
there's no but after that. That's the beauty of it right now. See, Democrats literally have demanded that the government shall not reopen unless there is more subsidies for insurance companies and for the states through Medicaid so that they can continue to provide free health insurance. And it's not free because you're paying for it. Free health insurance and doctor care and hospitalizations for illegal immigrants. California, New York, Illinois. There's like 11 states who have done this. Oregon, Washington, Maryland. They're giving free health care for non-citizens, and whenever confronted on it, they say, well, no, that's against federal law. Nobody's doing that. Well, it's true. The states are doing it. But then the federal government, because of the insistence of the Democrats, are funding the states and increasing the money that the states get. And the states take that money and, oh, thank you very much. And they give it right to the programs that provide health insurance for non-citizens and illegal immigrants. And whenever asked about it, Democrats say, well, no, we're not doing that. AOC is asked, do you think illegal immigrants should get health care? And she says, well, yes, I do. Health care is a basic human right, which of course it's not, because how can you have a basic human right that somebody else has to pay for? Think about all the other basic human rights that you have, right? The right to defend yourself, the right to assemble, the right to consort and meet with whomever you wish, the right to practice your religious faith, the right to your free speech, the right to love and marry whoever you want to love and marry. None of those things cost a penny. You don't have to take money out of anybody's pocket to pay for those things that are your basic right. So how is it exactly a basic human right to have an MRI? Who pays for the MRI? Who builds the MRI? Who buys the MRI? You get my point. But the second you buy into this claptrap from the left that healthcare is a basic human right, that means you are taking something from someone and giving it to someone else under the guise that it is that person's right. It could be money to pay for a doctor, or you could just force all doctors, okay, we're going to make you be a doctor without getting paid, because it's not fair that you can provide health care, but you expect money for it. Health care is someone's basic human right, so you now must do it for free. I mean, that's really what the end result would be here. And at least AOC is being honest about it. But once again, undermining Chuck Schumer and all the leadership of the Democrat Party in the House right now and in the Senate who have been driving this government shutdown. No, this has nothing to do with health care for illegal immigrants. Really? Well, AOC, what do you think about health care for illegal immigrants?
Ask you on this to follow up, because you said that it is federal law that people, undocumented immigrants, can't get Medicare, Medicaid, the Obamacare subsidies. Do you believe that should be the law, though, or do you think undocumented immigrants should have access to federally funded health care?
I believe personally that health care is a human right. I believe that every person should be able to go to the doctor. But
there you go. And so every Democrat running this shutdown right now, who have been lying to the American people and saying, that's not what we want, that's not what we're doing, she just threw them all under the bus. Again, and let's not forget, in 2020, when the Democrats were vying for the presidential nomination, they were all asked, raise your hand if you think that illegal immigrants should be given free taxpayer-funded health care. every single one of them raised their hand. And now they're just lying to you. We know who they are. We know what they stand for. At least AOC's honest about it. All right, let's get back to Grandpa Lennon here. What does he have to say?
What he is trying to do and what ICE raids and knocking down doors are about is to make all of you afraid.
That's
You're
right.
a federal employee, don't speak up. You're a government official, don't speak up. You're in a law firm that somehow had clients taking on Trump, don't speak up because they're going to punish you. You are on CNN, we're going to sue you if you ask the wrong questions. My friends, what this is about is a movement toward authoritarianism, intimidating us all.
Okay, so just so you know, communists like Bernie Sanders, who had his honeymoon in Moscow and has never seen a communist authoritarian country that he hasn't embraced, they do know a thing or two about authoritarianism. So when he says something like that, it does carry a certain amount of weight, except for the fact that the other thing you should always remember about communists is they lie. But what he just explained was ICE raids. Let's just be clear what an ICE raid is. An ICE raid is federal law enforcement officers enforcing the laws, the immigration laws, that people like Bernie Sanders and his 534 other colleagues in the House and the Senate passed into law. ICE doesn't make up the law. ICE doesn't go out there and raid a place because it gives them, the thrills. No, there's a law that supports an ICE raid. So enforcing the law that Congress passed and the president at some point in our history, I think in this case it was Bill Clinton, enforcing the law that was passed by Congress and signed by a president, that's authoritarianism. By the way, nobody's threatening to sue CNN because they're asking the wrong questions. People have threatened to sue CNN because they have lied and defamed people. But suing CNN because they lie and defame people, that's authoritarianism. Going after law firms because they're representing people that the president doesn't like is authoritarianism. Do you know that law firms were threatened by the Biden administration after January 6th? Did you know that partners and lawyers lost their partnership and have been disbarred by the totalitarian Democrats in this country because they gave legal advice to people caught up in the January 6th web? Yes, that happened. The reason why Bernie Sanders can identify what he calls authoritarianism so readily is because he's engaged in it his entire career. Spare me your fear tactics, Bernie. One great moment, though, by the way, when this young man asked Bernie Sanders about the shutdown and Schumer's position on it, and Bernie Sanders tried to do his typical communist claptrap rhetoric, and he saw that this young man disagreed with him. So Sanders tried to do a little jujitsu moment and say, oh, really? Well, what do you think of this? What do you think? Well, this guy told him what he thinks, and it was glorious. Watch.
How do you think this shutdown reflects on Chuck Schumer's leadership?
Well, I think it reflects more on Mike Johnson's leadership and President Trump's leadership.
Hold on. I'm sorry. We're going to watch this again, but I just want you to know, notice again what Bernie Sanders didn't say. How does this reflect on Chuck Schumer's leadership? I think it reflects great on Chuck Schumer's leadership. He's wonderful. He's my leader. I voted for him. Full speed ahead, Chucky. Didn't say that, did he? What did he say? Well, let's talk about Mike Johnson and Trump. Schumer's so done. Schumer is so toast. All right, we'll take it from Bernie's answer.
It reflects more on Mike Johnson's leadership and President Trump's leadership. This is a leadership which said it's okay to give well, how do you feel? You tell me. Think it's a good idea to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the richest people in the country and then make massive cuts to healthcare for working class people?
I think Chuck Schumer has voted for continuing resolutions 13 times in the last 4 years, and he has the opportunity to vote for one again, but he's refusing to come to the table.
I think
that was glorious. I think this guy watches our show. I think we're going to have to get him a Larry mug, maybe a Larry t-shirt, maybe even the awesome Larry polo embroidered. That was brilliant. That was fabulous. And Bernie, look at Bernie. Oh, don't stop. Don't confuse me with facts. Don't start telling the truth to me. This is CNN. We do not tell facts and truth here. All right, let's just keep playing. There's so many great clips from this town hall.
And they are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys, in particular, away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender than them. And that is why they are resonating online, because they are appealing to the most basest and worst parts of human nature to divide.
Okay, so that was AOC answering a question. Why do conservatives and Republicans and MAGA do so well in social media, online, and on platforms like this one right here? And the answer was to wag her finger and lecture young men and call them racist, ignorant bigots. And that is their biggest problem. Right there, in a nutshell, in a wackadoodle nutshell at that. That the second they have any opportunity to stand on their little plinth and sanctimoniously look down on the people that disagree with them and dare to not swallow their socialist bullshit. Oh, bad timing on the beep there, sorry. They take great advantage of it and give a tongue lashing to anyone who they find offensive because they disagree. So there you go. Yeah, why do conservatives and Republicans and MAGA excel right now on social media? That right there is the answer. Because the second they have the opportunity, they call young men who disagree with them and want to challenge the status quo. They call them racist, bigoted, ignorant Neanderthals. Okay. Bernie was asked the same question, by the way. And our friends over at the, was this at the RNC?
The White House.
Oh, it's the White House. This is the White House's account. As Bernie tries to struggle with the answer of why conservatives and Republicans and MAGA does better on social media, the White House decided to lend a hand and explain it, help Bernie out with the answer.
Republicans have been appealing to audiences, especially young people like myself, online using social media. Why does Republican messaging on social media seem so much more effective than Democratic messaging, and what can we do about it?
Well, that's a great question. I think the Republicans are effective. They have learned a lot about social media. And by the way, it doesn't hurt that their friends own all of the major social media platforms. You know,
It never gets old. It truly never gets old. Oh, that's glorious. Let's just watch it with the sound down because it just fits so perfectly. I'm only sorry they didn't throw a mustache on him too. That would have actually been perfect. But there you go. And you know, AOC sees that and say, "You see what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Low-life, ignorant racists." It's not racist. He's the whitest man in America, Bernie Sanders is. Put a sombrero on him. It sort of livens him up a bit. All right. Then AOC, who is the leader of the Democrat Party and really taking the reins of the shutdown and all of the messaging, she decided that she needed to get really, really super passionate about the environment because, you know, she's the queen of the Green New Deal, right? And she wanted to make sure that she warned everybody in the audience that Republicans and conservatives and big business was destroying our planet. She went full Greta Thunberg, but then it didn't really work out for her. Take a listen and see if you notice what we noticed.
Rivers in rural areas were on fire because of corporations poisoning the people who lived in those areas. Poor middle-class communities getting poisoned and dumped on by corporations like Deloitte and 3M, pouring chemicals into these places. And they want to call it a Democratic priority.
Deloitte is an accounting firm and a consulting firm. I'm sorry, is Deloitte working with chemicals in the Midwest that I'm not aware of? She's the smartest person in American politics because Deloitte is polluting your rivers. Deloitte. I think she meant, yeah, I have no idea what she meant.
Deloitte does spreadsheets.
Deloitte does spreadsheets. You're right. And they're dumping those spreadsheets into the, no, that's not it. Maybe she meant DuPont. That's possible, actually. It bothers me that I actually connected the dots there and tried to figure out what her thought process was. Could it have been DuPont? Oh, it didn't end well. She kept talking about the environment. She couldn't help herself. And, her mouth gets ahead of her brain, which ain't hard, let's face it.
Instead of talking about having air that's drinkable.
I'm sorry, what? You want us to have a conversation about air that's what now?
Instead of talking about having air that's drinkable.
I mean, she's from New York. There could be something going on there with drinkable air that I don't know about. It's a new trend, maybe some sort of underground club. I don't know. That is the face and the future of the Democrat Party. Actually, it's the present of the Democrat Party. That's where they are right now. Okay, this is who they are. This is who's leading them. This is where the power center is. Schumer's done. He's toast. He's history. There's only one woman who can save the Democrats from the brink. There's only one woman who can keep them from driving completely off the cliff and being politically in the wilderness and irrelevant for decades. One woman who used to be at the center of power, who could actually speak reason to these lunatics and say, please, you're ruining our party. One woman, Nancy Pelosi. Let's see what she did yesterday.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people.
Yeah, they're they're completely she's their last hope. She's the last one who could actually pull things from the brink, and she's cooked. She's 100% cooked. What happened, Nancy? I thought Democrats love talking about January 6th. All of a sudden, they want you to shut up if you're asking questions about January 6th? Wow, it's almost like they're afraid that the truth is coming out. Oh, what a time to be alive.